Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. I'm Exothermic and I've been doing a daily countdown of my 366 favorite video games of all time. Coming in at number 17 is Batman Arkham City. There are a lot of incredible comic book stories out there. Some of my favorites include, in no particular order, Red Sun Superman, Watchmen, this random issue of Doctor Strange in the 80s when he helps this guy deal with all of this bad stuff he did and convinces him to turn himself into the police while also stopping someone from killing him in vengeance. And then it's all for naught because his uncle is a representative in the United Nations and he gets away with everything in the name of political immunity, making the moral of the story that sometimes the world just sucks and bad people get away with bad things. Yeah, that's a great one. Doctor Strange Volume 2, number 63, written by Carl Potts. Check it out. So anyways, in 2011, if you had asked me what the greatest film ever made was, there's a really good chance I would have said The Dark Knight. The summer of 2009, at that point having the DVD and of course no school to go to, I think I watched that movie at least 30 times. Sometimes I watched it back to back. This isn't a review of that movie, and while viewing The Lord of the Rings as a singular 14-hour-long film has moved that back on top for me, I still think The Dark Knight is one of the greatest films ever made, and obviously a good chunk of that is Heath Ledger's Joker. But really, everything about that movie, from the incredible opening sequence, to the pencil trick, to Gary Oldman, is basically perfect. I have a lot of love for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but in my mind, they're still chasing after The Dark Knight. All of this is to say that Arkham City might be my favorite comic book storyline ever. Okay, it's still just Watchmen, but still, it's up there. The Caped Crusader returns in this sequel to Arkham Asylum, which I ranked as my 69th favorite game, and absolutely everything is better. The combat, the story, the environments, the riddles, the music. Oh, the music! I want to give a shout out to Nick Arundel, the composer for this game. His main theme for this game is the best Batman theme ever made. Better than Danny Elfman, better than Hans Zimmer. There's definitely influence from both of those, but it so perfectly captures what I feel is the true atmosphere of Gotham and of the character. It's incredible, and you owe it to yourself to listen to the whole thing if you haven't. Anyways, I've stalled enough. On to the game. 18 months after the events of Arkham Asylum, Quincy Sharp, former warden, is now mayor and he's shut down the asylum. Instead, he fenced off the most dilapidated old parts of Gotham and turned it into what he calls Arkham City. Basically an anything-goes outdoor prison for Gotham's criminals. Well, anything except escaping. There's a contracted private military service called Tiger that patrols the whole place 24/7 to make sure that nobody gets in or out. Bruce Wayne has gotten quite publicly involved in trying to shut this whole thing down, while Batman has been keeping a close eye on the situation as he, and anyone with half a brain, has realized this is an awful idea and will surely lead to some horrible catastrophe eventually. At a press conference, Bruce is captured and imprisoned and then tortured by Hugo Strange, who knows he's Batman. Doctor Strange, no, not the one I talked about earlier, tortures Bruce before he escapes and has Alfred drop off the suit once he's out of there. Combat in Arkham City is as satisfying as ever, crushing criminals to a pulp with your bare hands, or if you prefer, electrocuting, detonating, squashing, or cutting them. It all gets the job done. On the street level, you do a lot of beating up just large crowds of dudes, left-clicking to attack, right-clicking to counterattack when a blue thing pops above someone's head, dodging attacks you can't counter, and generally being one of the greatest martial artists alive. You feel it constantly, and I still think that of the whole Arkham franchise, this game found the best happy medium regarding the flow of combat, and they need to stop trying to fix something that wasn't broken. But indoors, in large rooms, with vaulted ceilings, doing the Hunter of the Night stealth kills are great. This is true in all of these games, but I'll never get tired of setting up traps and detonating them, or swooping down from gargoyles and hanging people upside down, climbing through vents, crawling under grates, blasting through walls. All of it is phenomenal, and that's no different in this game. But the thing that brings me the most joy in the game's mechanics is just exploring. In my Arkham Asylum video, I talked a lot about how the Asylum feels like a character itself, and that makes exploring so great, but the city of Gotham is truly alive here, and retains all of those great exploration moments, but on a much larger scale. And the gliding! Being able to get up really high and then glide with your cape is so phenomenal and amazing, and one of the best feeling ways of travel in any game ever. You'd think with that in mind, I would have ranked Arkham Origins higher than I did, where it wound up being at the beginning of August, what with its much larger city to explore. But ultimately, that map felt like too big, with not enough stuff. Everything was really spread out, and while there was a lot of things, the variety from thing to thing was very much lacking. Arkham City, however, is still quite large, but also densely packed with events to discover, items to find, and riddles to solve. Maybe you run into Bane, which is a pretty wild development after the first game, and you discover you need to team up. Maybe you run into Jervis Tetch and have to deal with his bizarre Alice in Wonderland shenanigans. Maybe you have to race to various payphones before Victor Zsasz kills some people. There's a lot of little side stories and missions and things throughout this game, and I even think there's more than the supposedly larger titles that came after. Even Calendar Man is here. Calendar Man! There's something exciting to find around every corner, and it makes running around the city non-stop fun, and never feels like a chore. I do want to touch on one more thing before I get to the full story stuff. You get to play as Catwoman, and that's pretty cool. There's a lot more stealthy puzzle elements, and she fights totally differently. Being able to crawl upside down on grates is a lot of fun, and her whole side quest campaign is great for a break in the main storyline every once in a while. It's really great stuff, and as you get towards the end of the game, her and Batman's stories actually converge, and you get to team up, causing you to switch back and forth between the two in some really fun ways, doing various puzzles and combat sequences that are, I think, super memorable. So this story that I've been praising so much, what's going on? Batman, of course, assumes that Joker is up to no good and tracks him down to the old steel mill. Playing the world's greatest detective has never quite felt so, well, detective-y. With many of the main plot sections of the game and some side quests, you have to track something throughout the world. For example, when figuring out where Mr. Freeze has been hiding, you measure the temperature in the cold winter air, and if it keeps dropping even lower, that means you're going in the right direction. No breadcrumb trail, no giant indicator on the map or in the sky or anything really super gamey telling you, just a thermometer, and it's great. When you eventually do find Joker, he's holed up in there nice and good, while Harley is distraught and burning through doctors. Apparently, her Puddin's sick, and she's trying every volunteer doctor in the city to try and cure him before it's too late. After a rather exciting series of puzzles and a couple of mini-bosses, you finally get to check out Joker, just in time to watch him die.
You!
Get out of my way, Quinn.
Leave us alone, B-Man! Just leave me with him.
I said move!
This
Okay, not really. That was a trick. Some Detective Batman is. You get knocked out and wake up to find yourself strapped in a chair, only to discover that while Joker may not be dead, he is definitely dying. Mark Hamill has been the voice of Joker for decades now, and Arkham City is, I think, his absolute best performance. And this is the best Joker storyline. I said it. I meant it. Joker explains that he's dying because of the Titan formula he injected into himself in the last game, and he's only got a matter of hours left before he kicks the bucket. Incidentally, Hugo Strange has been doing some countdown on the hours left until something called Protocol 10. More on that in a bit, but for now, just know that the two are totally unrelated. But you've got bigger problems. You see, Joker gave you some of his blood, and now you too will die in a matter of hours. This all creates a really fun dynamic of having to create the cure not only to save yourself, but also Joker, while also dealing with constant chaos throughout Arkham City. It's a long and winding road filled with loads of close calls against all of Batman's rogues gallery, but also this Tiger military group is a real problem. I don't want to spoil the whole ending of the game because it's such a great ending. It has to do with Protocol 10 and basically going, hey, what if we just killed all of the people in the prison? It's, you know, maybe something Batman should think about, but maybe not in this way. But the tightrope walk that Batman has to do between keeping Joker in check while also saving the two of you and every other member of his rogues gallery simultaneously, on top of Strange's diabolical machinations, is brilliant. Every step of the way, the tension leading up to one of the greatest narrative finales in any form of superhero media blew my mind the first time I did it, because I actually never saw it coming. Seriously, even if you're not a comic book fan, even if you don't want to play a superhero game, play this game.
Alfred,
I can assure you that you will not regret it.
Mr. Freeze has the only cure.
Join me tomorrow as I talk about my 16th favorite game, where I do science with an old friend.
That simple. He'll be